Hello all and welcome to Chalk Talk, your source for Ohio State varsity athletics, news, updates, and analysis. I'm your host, Kaley Rentz, coming to you from the Lantern TV studios in Columbus, Ohio. I'm joined by Senior Lantern reporter Andrew Todd-Smith and Lantern TV's Assistant Sports Director Aaron Yerian. Guys, how's it going?
Phenomenal. Wonderful.
Well, even with a 55-14 win over Illinois, Urban Meyer stated that he was still looking for improvements from his red zone offense. The Buckeyes were 4 for 6 in the red zone and 0 for 2 on fourth down attempts. Meyer emphasized that he wants to apply a lot of pressure on his offensive line and quarterback because he knows that against Michigan State they will truly be tested. So guys, the Buckeyes were able to kind of score early in this game, a lot better than their Penn State game. What did you two see?
Well, as you said, Kaley, it's a definite improvement on the offense. Illinois brought out the best and worst. For Ohio State, they were able to score early and often, but as you said, the worst is they went for it on fourth down inside the red zone. You do that in East Lansing, you're not putting points on the board. You need to kick those field goals, and it's something that Coach Meyer had mentioned in his post-game press conference.
They have to be razor sharp in East Lansing on Saturday to come away with a win. As you said, you know, the matchup of ranked Big Ten teams, crucial to really either team's shot at progressing forward into that college football playoff conversation. Mark D'Antonio, he's known for trickeration and creative coaching, but Urban Meyer is going to have this team ready. Against Illinois, we saw Curtis Samuel get perhaps more touches than maybe we were expecting, kind of doing things.
Started the game, actually.
Yeah, and sharing duties with Ezekiel Elliott. We saw Jalen Marshall in the Wildcat formation, getting direct snaps. So this team is doing things creatively and effectively on offense in terms of driving the ball, but they can't go for it on fourth and have that effort stymied like they did a couple times against Illinois. So what are you expecting to see from Michigan State, Aaron? You know, you got Connor Cook, star quarterback, you've got Tony Lippett, Jeremy Langford, their running back. I mean, these teams are very evenly matched, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. You look at the Illinois game, their production in the first half almost came solely from one play. 5 down linemen right in front of the wide receiver and the quarterback behind the center. And Ohio State wasn't able to adapt, and Illinois came out with a big gain on that play. It didn't result in any points, but to get caught with your guard down like that, you do that against D'Antonio when he fakes a field goal or a punt, goes for it on fourth and very short. I mean, you could end up giving up a lot of points very quickly.
We talked to some captains at Wednesday's media opportunity. Doran Grant specifically addressed the Notre Dame fake field goal that D'Antonio kind of earned notoriety for. So some of the feedback that they were able to give us in anticipation of this highly touted matchup.
It's very possible, especially in big games, because that's the best time to do them. I remember when I was on a recruiting trip at Michigan State, and they faked the field goal against Notre Dame to win the game. So all that's still in my head. I haven't forgotten nothing. I know a little bit about the team.
You know, right after the game, you know, they was like, oh man, it's on now. It's on, and you know, they usually don't do that, looking forward to the next opponent, but knowing what this game means, you know, it's expected.
I know those guys going to be ready, but we also going to be ready too. And, you know, just ever since Sunday, we've been preparing for these guys, and we're just ready to go. They're pretty balanced, and, you know, you never know what they can, you know, they can play action you and hit you for a deep ball, or they can run it right at you, so you got to be on your toes.
You know, we took our mistakes from that game. We learned from them, and, you know, we harnessed them and used them as motivation, you know, into the offseason. You know, we didn't get the outcome we wanted in that game, obviously. You know, you just got to fix the things that you did wrong, and that's what we've done. So I think it'll work out on Saturday.
It's definitely hard to put in words, you know, because how hard it was last year after the game, you know, how it was in the locker room afterward. Everybody was just crushed, you know, because we were that close. So this game, I mean, to me, means everything. I've been thinking about that game since the Big Ten Championship last year.
Obviously, this could make our season go one way or make it go the other way. And plus, what happened when they took something from us last year. You know, they took it, so we got to go get it back.
Big Ten Championship loss still fresh on their minds. You know, that this Michigan State team got the better of them. As you know, the players are well aware that they had something taken from them, in their words. So in terms of what we can expect from JT Barrett, though, I mean, these teams are pretty evenly matched, like I said. What do you expect to see, as he's clearly healthy? You know, that MCL sprain didn't limit him. I mean, they took him out after the first half against Illinois. Wise, sort of safe, healthy move. But yeah, in terms of matchups, what do you expect to see Saturday?
Well, you'd mentioned it earlier. It's like looking in the mirror with these two quarterbacks. You have JT Barrett. He has a 64.7% completion rate, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but 17 sacks. You look at Connor Cook. He's riding around 60% completion, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, both of which are semifinalists for the Davey O'Brien Award. So it would be interesting to see how these two really balanced offenses, Ohio State's really making strides, but they're extremely inconsistent. You look at Penn State, and we kind of criticized Penn State a little bit. Oh, do they really have a good defense, or do they just play these teams in the Big Ten that don't put up big numbers? Ohio State goes into Happy Valley, and they learn the hard way that, oh, maybe they're for real. So Michigan State, who already gets the benefit of the doubt playing Oregon, as Kaley said off camera, and playing Nebraska earlier in the season, they get the benefit of the doubt when their stats come up on the defensive side.
Yep, as you mentioned, the Davey O'Brien Award, 16 semifinalists. Of course, Marcus Mariota, quarterback for Oregon, that bested them, also on that list. Mm-hmm. But that Nebraska game, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Michigan State at home blew a 27-3 lead and allowed Nebraska to climb back into it. So they've shown vulnerability. Yeah, but these quarterbacks, I can't wait for this matchup, because you have the number 4 and number 5 scoring offenses in the country squaring off against, respectively, Michigan State, number 5's total defense, 279.4 yards a game, compared to Ohio State's 300 yards a game. So something's got to give. Now, you mentioned also sacks. Mm-hmm. Michigan State has only allowed 5 sacks all year. 3 of those came against Oregon. So we, like I said, immovable force, immutable object, or maybe it's the other way around. Joey Bosa, let's talk about him, because if anybody's going to sack Connor Cook, it's probably going to be him. This week named a semifinalist in the Bednarik Award and the Rotary Lombardi Trophy Award running. Also, he shares the record for consecutive games as a Buckeye with tackles for loss with Katzenmoyer and Ryan Shazier. And this game, if he gets a TFL, he's in sole possession of that record. So anyway, he's going to be matching up against Jack Conklin, the 6'6", 303-pound offensive tackle for Michigan State. Now, Penn State had guys of similar size, and Penn State gave up 5 sacks to Ohio State's very stout defensive line. So what do we expect to see? Does Bosa have a monster game? Does he get contained? You know, is it going to be experience versus youth? What do you expect to see, Aaron?
A new line in the record book. He's done phenomenal things. He came out last year as a starting true freshman. People didn't know who he was, and he sacked Connor Cook before in the Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis last year. So what's been done before can be done again. I'm not going to predict something ridiculous like he matches Oregon or anything.
Sure.
But, I mean, they're going to put pressure on Connor Cook. Michigan State may not be the same team that they saw in Indianapolis, so a little bit of youth on their side when it comes to the offensive line, just like with Ohio State. So it'll be interesting.
Definitely. So we mentioned Jeremy Langford and Tony Lippett on pace to be 1,000-yard rusher and receiver. So, I mean, this offense, they know what they're doing. They've taken care of business, and as we said, you know, they are the top-ranked Big Ten team in that very elusive, you know, top 10 of the college football playoff rankings. But what do you guys think, predictions-wise? Because Kaley, you called Illinois.
She gets to go for She gets to go
the
first.
Upset last week.
You're gonna go first.
And Aaron, no, in her defense, Aaron Bailey was doing far better in the second half than Riley O'Toole did. I mean, they pulled him. So I give you credit. You know, even though the scoreline didn't necessarily reflect that. Michigan State, what do you guys think?
Well, I'll go ahead and go first again. So I went first last time. I think that Connor Cook, I think that Ohio State will apply a lot of pressure on them. He doesn't do as well when he's forced to throw, so I think that Joey Bosa coming in and applying a lot of pressure will work. I'm going to go 21-7, but I'm going to give it to Michigan State. I think that they are the better team. I think Ohio's offense will be shut down. And I think JT Barrett, he was still nursing that MCL. He wasn't putting a lot of pressure. He was throwing over his receivers, so I'm going to give it to Michigan State.
Aaron?
I think it's going to be a Big Ten slugfest again. I think it's going to be close all the way down to the wire. I think Coach Urban Meyer likes to gamble a little bit on the 4th and short. I think Michigan State does it by a field goal, 27-24.
Ooh, okay. I am maybe going to be a little bit boring. And also agree.
Are they going to put up 50?
No, they're not going to put up 50. I don't think Barrett has an unsuccessful game. I should clarify. I do think Ohio State will lose the turnover battle. It will be close. I'm going 30-21. I believe that Michigan State will represent the East and maybe take on Nebraska in a rematch in Indianapolis. So 30-21, you've got me held accountable.
I've got everyone's written down. I got them all.
Fantastic. Well, if you guys are ready, we can move on to the world of women's volleyball. Aaron, you're our man.
We go now to St. John Arena, Halloween night. That's not the women's volleyball team. All right, there they are, in action against the number 6 Penn State Nittany Lions. Buckeyes ended up being swept at home with first home loss of the season, but they're heading into a new matchup, new Big Ten opponents in Maryland and Rutgers, but not necessarily new to junior outside hitter Elizabeth Campbell, who is the Duke transfer and played against them in the ACC the last couple of seasons. So following the home loss and practice on Wednesday, here's what Coach Geoff Carlston and some of the players had to say about the upcoming season and games and what to expect.
Penn State, and I saw this about 2 weeks ago, they're playing at the level that, at a higher level than anyone else in the conference right now, to be honest with you. I don't see them losing the rest of the way, and certainly in our 2 matches they played really, really well. So we're 7-5. We're in a good spot. They played at a very high level. So one of the things I said, what are some things they did? They've been at the top for a little while. Let's take a few things from them. But the reality is that we need to. It's 2 matches. It doesn't take away from what we've done and where we are. But we need to keep climbing.
We know that Penn State's a great team. They're one of the top performing teams in volleyball in the U.S. And we know we just talked about, what did they do well, and we're going to take those things, work on them, and it helps us because we know what we have to work on now, and it'll get back in the gym on Monday, and then we're going to work on those things. Playing teams like Penn State only makes us better for the long run, especially when we get to the NCAA tournament.
I wanted to play in the Big Ten, just looking at how teams finish out in the tournament. Most of the top 20 teams, there's about 7 or 8 Big Ten teams, so to me that means more competition and just a higher level. I think we learned a lot about ourselves playing Penn State last week, and just coming out here and focusing on those things that we need to work on to get better. They were a really good team and they brought out our weaknesses, and that's what we're here to do this week, is work on it.
This weekend, I'm looking forward to getting, obviously, to see new teams since Maryland Rutgers are new to the conference. In order to finish strong, I think that we're just really trying to focus on wrapping up our season and kind of not plateauing, but making sure we're always trying to get better in practice and with each game getting better. Obviously, coming off of a pretty serious illness, I was out for kind of a while, and I think that my mentality was honestly just try to get back in the gym, get back lifting, get back into shape, because it's pretty different being in volleyball shape than just regular shape, but just practicing a lot and working hard. I don't think that I'm necessarily not up to where I was before, but I'm just going to keep pushing, just keep working.
After this weekend, there will be 3 remaining home games for the women's volleyball team, including rematches with Wisconsin and Minnesota. That's going to be all the time that I have for this week. I'm going to turn it over to Kaley and Andrew, who are going to finish out the rest of varsity sports, starting with field hockey and their senior day results with Michigan and the Big Ten tournament.
The women's field hockey team concluded their regular season when they took on their arch rivals Michigan at home this past Sunday. They fell by a final score of 2-1, but they found some rhythm and they were able to contain a relatively potent Michigan attack. So Maddy Humphrey had a strong game, as well as Emma Royce connecting with Paige Hamilton to try to keep shots coming along the right flank. But again, they fell victim to the Wolverines. But at the 1-7 final conference record, they were able to sneak into the Big Ten tournament. We'd mentioned in earlier shows, 9 teams in the conference, only the top 8 advance. They were able to claim the 8 seed because Indiana, whom they had bested earlier in the season, lost the tiebreaker to the Buckeyes. And so they ended up facing the top-seeded conference champion, Maryland Terrapins, Thursday morning. They fell to the Terrapins just as they did in College Park earlier in the season, 6-0. They fell Thursday 5-0, effectively ending their season. They ended up with a 6-12 final record. Mackessy, as well as Alexis Allen, Caitlin Wagner, and Sarah Lemieux, the seniors who will be graduating, were honored at Senior Day on Sunday. But Mackessy had this feedback on Sunday about what to expect from her team as she graduates and moves on. And this very young team, of course, poised for a strong outing in 2015.
Well, I'm excited because with 13 incoming freshmen, they have a lot of growth and development. They're only going to be losing 4 people, so I know that the juniors, Peanut and our other forward, who's also a freshman, Maddy, and Annabelle, another freshman, we just have such good talent, and I know they're going to get so much better from here.
I think we did really well, like, on all positions of the field. Like, defense had awesome tackles today. Like, our seniors, Caitlin and Carly, had, like, awesome saves back there. Like, they saved our butts so many times. And I think someone I looked at, like, as a leader today was Caitlin Wagner, because she was making tackle after tackle, working her tail off to, like, save us, and she would get it up quickly. And so was Emma Royce, too. Like, they were both just getting it out and getting it out quickly. We were attacking a lot. We just couldn't get it in. We had a few opportunities, and I think we're going to build on that.
I think that as a team, we just all really appreciate everything they've done. This is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun, but it can be time consuming. But I think they've enjoyed every moment of it, and you could see that today on the field with how hard they worked.
But also worth mentioning is Peanut Johnson, the junior, had a very strong performance against Maryland despite the team's 5-0 defeat. She had 3 shots on goal, and congratulations belatedly to her because she was named to the 2nd All-Big Ten team this past week. So we'll be looking for big things from Peanut Johnson in the coming year when the women's field hockey start their 2015 campaign.
And another season that ended this past weekend was the OSU women's soccer team. They fell to the Rutgers Scarlet Knights 2-0. No one was really playing consistently. Rutgers really shut them down.
Yeah, not really the note you like to see the seniors go out on. They ended up 11th in the Big Ten, but as you said, they had momentum off that big win over Nebraska, showed signs of maybe having a late resurgence, but unable to make the Big Ten tournament as only consistent with field hockey, although there's more teams playing soccer in the Big Ten. Only the top 8 advance to postseason play. So they lose star seniors that they're going to be losing, Kayla Varner and Ellen Gruber, of course, the captain. We've spoken with her in the past. Gruber honored with the Big Ten Sportsmanship Award, and freshman Nikki Waltz. This team is going to be able to accomplish big things in the future because Nikki Waltz, especially a presence in the midfield. But they do finish their season with a 6-10-3 final record, 3-7-3 in conference. But I think, without further ado, we can move on to men's soccer, who is enjoying some postseason success.
Yeah, the men's soccer team, well, first on Saturday, they traveled up to Maryland, where they unfortunately had a loss. They fell 1-0 to Maryland, and that was, still senior goaltender Alex Ivanoff showing he's fantastic, and he showed that he had 6 saves in that game. The Buckeye defense still played really well, but on Wednesday, November 5th, the Buckeyes traveled to Ann Arbor, team up north, big rivalry game. They were really amped for it. They were just super excited. You could tell Twitter was blowing up. So, but the guys, they were able to get the 2-1 victory, and it was going to be Christian Soldat and Danny Jensen to get the goals for Ohio State. So having some young blood come in and scoring.
That's the kind of sort of chemistry and sort of synergy that team needs to channel if they're going to have success in the Big Ten tournament, where they will rematch against the Wolverines this coming Sunday, I believe.
Yep, the Buckeyes will be taking on the number 7 seeded in the Big Ten tournament. They'll be taking on the Michigan Wolverines in less than 5 days. And they'll be taking them on Sunday at 1 o'clock. So to be home, the Buckeyes do get to host the first game of the tournament. So that's really exciting for the Buckeyes. They're going to get a little bit of a kind of a break, but then they're going to have to go play the same team. It's hard to beat the same team twice.
If you want to transition now to some ice hockey, what do we have going on in the world of men's and women's?
Well,
you take your pick.
We'll start with women's.
Okay.
Women's ice hockey team fell 4-2 to St. Cloud State on Halloween. Julia McKinnon and Melanie Moylan had the goals for the Buckeyes during that game. On Saturday, the OSU women won against St. Cloud 3-0, and Lauren Spring and Sarah Schmidt had 2 goals in the night. So Lauren Spring had 1 goal, Sarah Schmidt 2 goals. Their power plays were really weak, I thought. You know, they weren't really scoring off power plays, but they were scoring in general, so that's good. And I think once they amp up the power plays, that's just going to improve this team. Cassidy Sauve, she got the WCHA Rookie of the Week. So, you know, she had that shutout 3-0. They held offensive possession, but, you know, it's kind of just creating clean opportunities. And yes, St. Cloud State's goalie is very good. Yeah. And that's something that Ohio State's going to have to improve upon.
Yeah, frenetic pace, you know, Sauve having to, you know, deal with that kind of pressure from a good team. But let's talk about the men's, because they faced Canisius this past weekend, had a win and a tie. And, you know, we were able to meet up with associate head coach Larson, as well as Sam Jardine, of course, the defender, you know, leader on this team, who initially had kind of that chippy series against Miami. But this team has taken the bye week. They went to Canisius, handled business. And now they're going to be facing Omaha this coming weekend.
I think we saw that part of the guys coming together, handling a really tough situation the first night, opening a game in a brand new rink and being down 20 seconds in, being down 2 goals early, and sticking with the game plan and coming back. And from that point on, outscoring Canisius 7-1 throughout the rest of that night and the next night. And I think that was a confidence builder. Well, a Dean Blaze coach team hasn't changed in 30 years, basically, and they're going to come and try to outwork you. They're going to be physical. They're going to get after you. They're not an extremely detailed team as far as their systems, but they play with a lot of heart and a lot of energy, and they're coming. And we're going to have to be the same way. You got to match that intensity, and you've got to be willing to outwork a team like that. So we don't have any clips of when Dean was coaching the Blue Jackets, but we got some clips of the last couple weekends, and they haven't changed much. And they will get pucks to the net. They'll be relentless on your defenseman on the forecheck, and they will try to wear you down by outworking you. And it's a pretty simple formula. It's been pretty successful for them.
Well, they came out really hard, obviously, on Friday night. They were opening up a new building, so they were playing with a lot of energy, and they played with a lot of energy all weekend long. Unfortunately, we did give up those 2 goals, and that kind of set us back on Friday night, but we did a good job to battle back, finish with a tie that game, and then I thought Saturday was one of the more complete games we put together all year, and was real happy with, you know, the full 60 minutes. So.
And then I think Matt Tomkins does need to be praised, because you pointed me out last time for Christian Fry.
No, you're right, because Tomkins came off the bench and ended up in both of those games having more than 20 saves. And thankfully the conference able to honor his achievements by giving him the 3rd star award. So congrats to him. But here's what he had to say, both about the team's performance in Buffalo and also the relationship that he has with Christian Fry going into this matchup.
You know, Canisius was a team that they just kind of threw the puck in the net whenever they could and tried to generate some chances. So for me, it was just being ready at all times. You know, pucks were coming from everywhere. You know, I got to attribute our team to make my job really easy, and you know, both nights blocking a lot of shots and clearing pucks. So they made it really easy on me. But yeah, it was just kind of making saves whenever I had to keep the team in the game. I think as a goalie, it's always your job to be ready whether you're playing or not. You know, me and Christian have had a great relationship on and off the ice. You know, we push each other hard on the ice, and you know, practices we duke it out. It's been pretty fun to go back and forth and compete. So I mean, every night it's up to both of us to be prepared and be ready, and you know, no matter who's playing, I think we get the job done.
Ohio State's next games, they will be playing at home. They'll be playing on Friday and Saturday, and they will be facing the Omaha Mavericks, as we talked about before. Omaha Mavericks, number 19 in the country. So, you know, this is Ohio State facing another ranked team. You know, not as highly ranked as the other teams they've faced, but still ranked. So the Buckeyes really going to have to battle, be contested, and we'll have to see who starts in goal. We'll have to see if they're going to split it up again or if Tomkins is going to pull through the entire time.
I think that's going to do it for us this week, Kaley. Follow us at Chalk Talk OSU on Twitter and join the conversation with hashtag, there she goes, CTOSU. But that's all the time we have, so please take it away, Kaley.
Well, I'm Kaley Rentz for Aaron Yerian, who left earlier, and Andrew Todd-Smith. Thank you and goodbye.